Well, let's start at the beginning. It all started at Epsom in the 60s. I was in a school, jailed up, locked up in a school at Leatherhead, and Epsom Racecourse was just a few miles down the road. And one day, a friend of mine said his father was going to take him to the races, and that was going to be my very first trip to a racecourse. So I said, oh yes, it'd be wonderful to go. So we stood in the middle of the downs there. This is in the 60s. I was about 15 or 16 years old. And we stood in the downs, and I had a Damascus Road experience, I think is a way of putting it, because I saw a horse coming up on the outside of the field in a race that was called the Coronation Cup, and it was ridden by Lester Piggott. And I saw him come on the outside of the field with a double handful, holding up the horse. He looked over his left shoulder, looked over his right shoulder, and just effortlessly went into the lead and won with a lot in hand. And I was a tall, gawky teenager, totally lacking confidence. And here I saw the encapsulation of a man in total control of the situation. It was wonderful to see. And I thought to myself, I wish I could be like him. So it had a huge influence on the rest of my life. Here was a man with great confidence, great self-belief, something more than arrogance, something almost spiritual in the way that he was in charge of the situation. And I found I was totally inspired by it. And so whenever I see Epsom now or go to Epsom, I always think of that. And there was something else that happened at that meeting. We went on another day, and this is always important on a race course, whether you're successful or not, and win money. And I had 2 shillings on a horse called Drafingora, and he won. And I had a forecast with a duty sheet to be second, ridden by Philip Waldron, who rode for Doug Marks, claiming £7. And he came second, and he paid. So from a bet of 2 shillings plus 2 shillings on the forecast, I got back 32 and 6. Well, 32 and 6 is £1.60. Not a lot by today's money, but when my total allowance for the whole term was £2, it gives you some idea of what it meant. And I went back to school that day with twice as much money as all the other boys in the school as a result of the bet. So that had a huge experience on me. And that's Epsom. So that Epsom is probably my favourite race course. The second favourite race course would be Cartmel. And this is a place that I fell in love with when I had a horse called Cloudwalker that I shared with Mel Smith, the comedian, N. Rytell, the actor and comedian, Steve Harley of Cockney Rebel had a share in it. Almost every member of Equity had a share at some point, or a hair in this horse. There wasn't anyone I'd met who didn't have a share in Cloudwalker at some point. And my trainer rang me one day when I lived in the southeast of England and said, we're going to run Cloudwalker at Cartmel. And I said, where the hell is that? And he said, in the Lake District. And so it was on a bank holiday, a blazing hot day. And I got in the car and I drove all the way up to the Lake District. It was so hot that I remember the tyres squelching on the tar on the road as we came up on the motorways and some of the side roads. And I eventually found my way to Cartmel, and I instantly fell in love with it. I'd never seen a place like it before. It's like a giant fairground, something medieval about it. And Cloudwalker won. And then he won again, then he won 3 times, and I fell in love with it to such extent that I phoned up my editor at the Sunday Times and I said to him, I've found a place which I truly adore, can I write about it? He said, yes, you can stay up there for a week and send me 5,000 words. So I wrote about Cartmel, wrote 5,000 words. To cut a long story short, it wasn't long before I phoned up my wife, who lived down south at the time. We lived down at Ascot. I said, put the kids in the car, we're moving. I found a house. And we moved to Cartmel, and that's why Cartmel is wonderful. 40,000-50,000 people go there. More than that go there for every year for the racing, and it's just like a giant point to point. It's like a fairground. My third favourite race course is Sandown, and again going back to the 60s and 70s, it wasn't just about the horse racing. It was about the people you met there. The famous actor Robert Morley, I saw Albert Finney there. Before I was around, Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor used to turn up. Brian Ferry of Cockney Rebel, I saw him there, Brian Ferry of, I've forgotten the name, Roxy Music. There we go, there. I dropped a betting ticket actually on the ground, and someone touched my shoulder, and picked it up and gave it to me, and it was Brown Ferry of Roxy Music, and I smiled, and he realised I knew who he was. And you saw everyone turned up at Sandown in those early days, and I saw some wonderful races. I remember Night Nurse having a photo finish battle to the line up the steep hill at Sandown before just getting up on the line to beat a horse. So Sandown, Epsom, Cartmel. I will put Epsom first, Cartmel second, Sandown third. But I love any racecourse where I win a few quid. That's the truth of the matter.